Good morning, everyone. We're thrilled to have you join us for today's webinar. Do get ready for an interactive and engaging session where your participation is key. Do feel free to share your thoughts and questions in the chat, and don't forget to participate in the polls we'll be running throughout the session. Many schools are at crossroads with their energy contracts. For years, many of you have been part of local authority energy baskets, benefiting from collective buying power and simplified procurement. But things are changing. Local authorities are stepping back and schools are gaining more autonomy. So it's time to explore your options and make smart decisions that balance cost and sustainability. With the energy market being so unpredictable and budgets tight, energy procurement has become a real challenge. Schools need to secure the best deals, future-proof their choices, and align with sustainability goals. So today, we're diving into two main procurement routes: fixed-term energy contracts and energy baskets. To help us break it all down, we've got David, our energy expert from 2x2. Good morning, David.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
David, before we jump into the pros and cons, why is energy procurement such a critical issue for schools today?
I think currently there's some big rise in energy costs that have happened over the last few years, probably since the COVID time, which has been driven by the global supply chain, issues with Russia and Ukraine, issues that have happened in the Middle East. Obviously, Donald Trump getting into power now should probably cause prices to go up as well. So the geopolitical infrastructures, so to speak, has probably caused a lot of volatility in the market. And obviously, that's then made the energy prices be at record highs, which is making it increasingly challenging for the schools to manage their budgets effectively. Schools are already operating on tight financial margins, and any sudden price spike can knock those margins out. I think education funding hasn't kept pace with inflation. Obviously, prices going up, meaning schools then must stretch their budgets further than ever before. So we got also energy costs often account for a significant portion of the operational expense. So it leaves little room for inefficiencies, and schools are now under pressure to maximise every pound spent, ensuring that they secure the best value while meeting their operational needs. But one thing that can happen there, you see on the slide, we've got the saying about bill validation. We're noticing that is one big area where schools can actually gain some money back through no cost to themselves and with very little work. And because we notice, I think the latest figures were 37% of bills are actually incorrect, but you don't see that because on your bill you just see your unit rate and your standing charge most of the time. What makes up those charges is often incorrect behind on the suppliers, and there is now programs that we can use that can do bill validation that will check that every breakdown of each price that makes up your unit price and your standing charge is actually correct, and that is creating quite a lot of savings for schools. But when those errors are coming in, that also is, and they're not being resolved, that's obviously adding to a lot of the budget constraints for schools to manage. There's the sustainability pressures where everybody's got the government net zero goal that they need to achieve. You're also getting pressure from parents, schools, governors, local authorities to make sure that you're doing the greenest route or on a green journey, so to speak. And obviously that comes with extra costs as well, and a lack of availability in a lot of areas. And there's a lot more availability that is coming back into the market. But for the last couple of years, it's been very hard to get quite a lot of particularly green gas contracts for schools, because they've all been bought up in advance by the multinational organisations, because they've got their own goals. So everybody's been fighting over this little pot of green gold, should we say? I'd say we got the shift away from local authority energy contracts. I think traditionally we have been working alongside schools for the last just shy of under 10 years, and at the start of it, it was very much the majority of schools were in local authority baskets, or local authorities were looking after the energy. Obviously, local authorities have changed their priorities, and therefore schools are being left to look after it themselves, for often sometimes for the first time, and understanding then what's happening, understanding the different types of contract. I think a lot of the time people just go to what they know, so they would look to manage it probably in the same way they would their own domestic contract. And obviously with a commercial, there's so many nuances that are slightly different to your domestic contract. So that can be quite hard for schools to manage and to get themselves around. And one of the big issues that we got is the missing data that the schools have found. It's very hard to get your data from suppliers. Suppliers know that if you're asking for your data, it's probably because you're looking to move to another provider, and they'll use their KPIs and their SLAs to maximize that out. So particularly like half hourly data can be a lot harder to source. You don't get that in your bills, and then you can't get prices from other suppliers without that half hourly data. So things like that can be quite awkward for schools to manage as well.
Thanks, Dave. We're going to have a poll now, and that is would you like to explore our no win, no fee bill validation service? So we do offer this service. If you do, where you can find hopefully some recoverable money. So we don't find any savings. You'll pay nothing for our service.
Would it help if I just gave a quick 30-second overview of how that works for the school?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So that basically, the school wouldn't have to do any work. They'd just have to sign a letter of authority for us to be able to do it. We could then go access the data through all of the supplier portals where we've got access, can upload the letter of authority and can download all of the data, and then run the processes to make sure that, like I said, each increment then that makes up your pricing is correct at the correct charge. And then obviously the VATs and things like that would be added as well. But so there's nothing for the school to do other than sign a form.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. And also thank you for the insightful overview on that area. So it is clear that energy procurement is a challenge for schools. And given the rising energy cost and budget constraints, what are the main differences between fixed rate contracts and energy baskets?
So fixed rate contract is probably the most similar to what your domestic contract would be. It obviously says typically for 12, 24, 36 months, you get the price on the day that you go to the market, and you lock in for your time period from when your contract starts until the end date. It can have anywhere up to 5 years, really. It can go longer, but very few suppliers are offering that now, and obviously come that you're running the risk of where it is. An energy basket would combine spends of everybody, and would be a bit more of a science behind the way that the pricing is calculated. So say you signed up to an energy basket, they usually last about 5 years. You would sign up, and your usage would go into it, and energy traders would purchase on behalf of you of when the price points were at the ideal price points. So by the time your pricing comes out, so you wouldn't know what your pricing was for the next year, but you'd always have bought chunks throughout that year to try and keep it at the price low. Now, the energy baskets often could be, well, rarely will they be the cheapest on the market unless the prices in the market is really in a bad situation, but they would never, you will always be protected from those hikes. So for instance, one energy basket that we look at during the COVID thing saved 27 million by being in an energy basket, and that was across 6,000 sites. And that was mainly because of where all the hedging had happened before. As soon as COVID hit, the prices went up. The market's coming, if they'd gone into a fixed term, the contract they'd have been purchasing their fixed term contract at the height of where the prices had gone up, but because it was in the hedging strategy, all their prices had been made in increments beforehand, so therefore it protected from that hike. Ultimately as well, when the price drops, you're still at that hike, so you keep that level price. So it's quite easy for budgeting purposes for long term, but you wouldn't necessarily you'd only get a couple of months benefit of the dip, but you'd never be too far from that dip anyway, so it's not that much of a drop, but obviously protects you from the big chunk at the top.
Thank you for explaining the differences between fixed rate contracts and energy baskets. For schools considering these routes, can you tell us more about fixed term contracts?
So fixed term contracts, as I mentioned, are the most like you would with your domestic. It's interesting there's no cap on like we have with the domestic on fixed term for commercial. So that doesn't, so we're not protected from the spike in prices that's been happening. Your price then, as you come out of your contract, you're subject to whatever your price is at the time of when your contract comes up. So it could be in terms of over the past previous years, you could have, I think, probably about 400%, depending on when you contracted. Obviously, people that are coming out of contracts now compared to where they were if they joined a 2-year, 3-year contract during the COVID and the start of the Russia-Ukraine thing, are noticing a big drop down. But your price is determined by the market at the time of you go into pricing, and that will stay the same until you next go to market, so you don't get any of the up and down of how the market goes across. So you're protected against the fluctuations, but also you don't benefit from the fluctuations as well. It's quite simple with the billing. What you sign up for at the start of the term of the contract, you then keep until the end. There are the disadvantages, as mentioned there. There's potential of the higher costs if you come out when the market is really at the highest. Because there is no cap, you don't want to be on out of contract rates. You need to secure a contract. You're paying that price for the length of that contract, then whether that's the 1, 2, 3 years. So any time that the market dips, you're not going to move with the market. So it can be considered quite a high risk strategy then of just finger in the air, right? Time for pricing, I'm vulnerable to that for the next 2, 3. Should I sign in for 1 year? Should I sign in for 2 year? Or however, depending on your organisation's appetite for the risk of that then.
Thanks for breaking that down, David. So it's clear that fixed rate contracts offer stability, but come with their own set of risks. So could you tell us more about baskets?
Baskets work a bit more, so they've got the collective buying power. So baskets traditionally have always been used to be able to access the energy traders, to be able to use a basket. You've got to have a certain level, certain amount of usage to be able to go onto the trade desk with. So it's always been used by the multinationals, the like Tesco's, the people like that would always use a basket. Now, what local authorities have been doing it, and what other organisations do, is group everybody to get to that limit so that they can access the trade desk. So it'll give the flexibility then of the price. So if the price is up there, you're only up there for say 1 month of the payment. So you will have a fixed rate for that year. But it means when you're purchasing for the next year, you're always bringing it down. So across the 12 months, and then that average rate then will be spread out across the 12 months then for you to pay. So you always have that yearly price change, but it just means that you get in the benefits of any of the dips in the market. But also, if there's a big spike, then the traders don't buy for you at that time, so you're not taking on the big price hikes as well. As well as, I said, you have the collective buying power because you group everybody together and everybody agrees to the buying strategy that's put in place by the traders. There is flexibility in the greenness. So if one school or organisation wanted a pure green or green gas, or another one just wanted REGO certificates and it being offset, that can be arranged, because it'd be the wholesale price and then any of the prices for the extra could be sorted out. And you've got the advantage of you have expert management then from the traders, from market analysis going through, and they're constantly looking at your profile, looking at your portfolio, and making sure that you're getting the best value, buying at the right times and not buying at the wrong time. Even there could be times when you may have bought, your traders may have bought for you, and the price could shoot up, but it's predicted to drop down, and there could be like a surplus that we have in the portfolio. There's potential that they may even actually sell what they've bought for you at the highest point to then purchase it, because they're predicting the price to come down later. Very similar to how shares work. So you're buying at the low, selling it at the high, and then that then goes into the portfolio to again bring the costs down for anybody that's in it for however long they're in it. There are disadvantages to a basket. And that's not, and similar to the fix of, it's not to say that either of them are bad products. It's just, it depends on the organisation's circumstances, the people that are involved in the organisation, their appetite for risk and what they prefer. They're both good in their own merits, but it's just evaluating which is right for you. And that is the potential uncertainty. Your price will change every year. Some people would prefer a longer term to budget on. You're reliant on being part of the group. So to get to the threshold to be able to go to the trade desk, everybody needs to join it together. And you don't have the autonomy, because it's a group. The traders act on the best interests on behalf of the group there. So you wouldn't be able to say necessarily of when to buy and when not to buy. It would be down to those that were doing the trades for you.
So fixed rate contracts are ideal for schools prioritising their budgets, certainty and simplicity. Energy baskets, on the other hand, suit schools looking to reduce their costs through collective buying power with added flexibility for sustainability goals or other priorities. The right choice depends on each school's risk tolerance, budget pressures and long-term energy strategy. So Dave, thanks for outlining the pros and cons of the energy baskets. And it's clear, while they offer collected buying power and flexibility, there are also some uncertainties and dependencies involved. So for schools weighing these key considerations, should they keep in mind to make the best decision for their unique circumstances?
Sorry, can you repeat that for me? I couldn't quite hear the last.
Yeah, what are basically the key considerations when deciding between the two options?
So I think for me, the first key consideration would be the appetite for risk and flexibility. We've got that as the second one on the side there, but I think that's the key, the key one. Where do you and what do you evaluate as risk? Now, some people may say that the fixed term is the higher risk because they are buying it whenever their contract is out and they are subject to they're vulnerable to the market conditions at the time. Others may think that having that budgetary certainty of what that is for 3 years is actually a lower risk, whereas the trading is the higher risk because you're relying on somebody else and how the market shifts and goes. And so evaluating that appetite for the risk and flexibility and seeing what suits you best and suits your organisation, and particularly with schools, the governors and how that works. I think that is the key area, and evaluating which is the riskier option for you. You know, the chances of us all getting the perfect energy contract at the time, because of the way the market lifts, we're never all going to be able to lock in at the lowest price, because that's just not how it works. So there is risk for everybody when they're going out into an energy contract, and that's the key consideration for me. You've got to access your current budgetary constraints. Obviously, see what it is you have to spend, how long you need to, as mentioned earlier, we know with the schools, with how they're budgetary and the tightness of the budgets, is there ways that by using a certain route with your energy contract that you can offset other areas of spend. For instance, we worked with a school last year and we were able to save them the equivalent of 5 teacher salaries because they changed their energy strategy. And it's working out where do they need to go as an organisation and how can energy help them get there, because to be honest, it can. Aligning the sustainability goals and the long-term planning, as I mentioned, things are a lot easier to be able to with the greener contracts now than they were a year ago, but it's still not great. And you can go to the market on any given day and there not be pure green contracts available because they've all been assigned and bought up. So it's aligning that, and if you want a long-term green sustain, you need to start that journey and lock in long-term in advance. We're not just going to be able to go to the counter that day and get it. So it's working out that journey to go on and getting the best strategy in place to get us from A to B to get on the green journey. And then obviously as with both of the contracts, the timing of the end dates. So it's if we go down the fixed rate, start looking at your contract several months before the contract is due to turn up, and then you can kind of see how the market's going. We give out free market analysis each, and that can be either daily or weekly, which people can sign up for. And they will be emailed to you, and you can start reading these and looking at where the energy market is going, so that you're not being vulnerable. So if it says, I said earlier, I'm expecting prices to go up in the next few weeks because of Donald Trump's inauguration. When he got voted in, prices went up a bit, and that's just because we're using what happened last time he was voted in and he took over, just because of America's strategy to fossil fuels changes. That will have an effect on us, and it's looking at these geopolitical areas and thinking, okay, right, I can see this coming, I can see that coming. How's that going to affect it? Or is there going to be a ceasefire? That could bring the prices down because people are a bit more friendlier. Therefore, we can get the contracts in the correct time and use that market research several months in advance to make sure that if you're going down the fixed time route, you've got enough knowledge to pick the right time to lock in on that. Or if you want to go into the flexible route, you can use your time. Okay, I know my contract's up in April next year. The basket pricing comes out in October. Okay, I can get myself into an interim contract with the basket provider to take me up to that time, but then they can start hedging for me a year in advance or 2 years in advance, and that will help then spread out, alleviate the risk across a 24-month hedging period of time, not just a 2-3 month kind of thing. So it's very important to get the time and the end dates and get that strategy of where we need to be, and always be almost 2 steps ahead.
Thanks for that comprehensive overview, David. So it is clear that schools need to carefully consider their budget constraints, the risk tolerance, sustainability goals, and also contract timelines when choosing between fixed rate contracts and energy baskets. For schools that are unsure about their next steps, what support can they access from 2x2 to help them make an informed decision, and how does the energy basket address these challenges?
So we've got, as I said, we're starting an energy basket for any organisation they can join it, and that will be starting from 2025. Anyone who wanted to join and their contract was up beforehand, as it meant there'd be a thing called an interim contract, which would take you on a short-term contract to start that, but you can join any time after October 2025 for the length of the contract, and that will give you then the transparent pricing and the highlights there that are listed on the slide. What else we can do is we can take you through that journey of what is best for you. Is it a fixed term? Is it an energy basket? As I mentioned earlier, then neither of them are bad products. Neither of them are better than the other. It's dependent on what your school needs are and what your requirements are as to what suits you. Take it out of the energy sector, it'd be the equivalent of, you've got some money to invest. Are you better investing it in shares, or are you better investing it in an ISA? And it's, both decent products, but it depends on the person or the organisation's individual needs, and we can have that conversation with you and help you come to that answer of what suits you. We're going to be running energy clinics where people can join us on a Wednesday, and we can answer those questions or go through anything with people. Just drop in, and we're happy to do that. And we're happy to look over everybody's contracts, review, contact us. We'll look through your details, and we can help you look to get to where you want to be. We can go through with you on your sustainability, your green goals, what level of greenness. No, I think that's one key area that we're noticing with a lot of organisations, that they come to us with we want to be green, and I always say, how green do you want to be? There's 200 different levels of greenness that they can be. Is that you want to offset? Is that you actually want solar farms? And we can take on that journey and consult with you and help you do that. And then once you're in your contract with the fixed term or whatever it be, the flexible, obviously you have the post contract support there, where we'll be making sure that the pricing is correct. We'll do the customer service for you. Any queries particularly with the basket, because that one's a bit more hands-on for us. If there's any queries or customers, they would be dealt with through us, so you wouldn't need to manage your contracts at all.
Okay, we're going to have another poll now. So would you be interested in learning more about our energy basket for your school? So 2x2's energy basket does address the challenges of energy procurement by providing transparency, leveraging expert negotiation, prioritising sustainability, and offering flexible participation options. We also have post sign-up support, which ensures your school remains informed and confident throughout the process, making it a reliable and cost-effective solution for managing your energy needs. So David, thank you very much for sharing your valuable insights today. And it is clear that deciding between a fixed term contract or joining an energy basket is a big decision. But with the right guidance, schools can make informed choices that benefit both their budgets and sustainability goals. We know that every school's situation is unique, and you might have specific questions about your energy needs or challenges. So that's why Dave invited you to our energy clinic, which is going to be held every Wednesday morning from 10 till 11. And during these sessions, David will be online and ready to answer your questions live. So whether you're just seeking advice, exploring some options, or just want to understand the energy market better. And it is a great opportunity for schools to get one-to-one guidance, and whether that is about pricing, your contracts, or sustainability, Dave will be there to help demystify the process and point you in the right direction. So to join the clinic, we're going to put the link in the chat for you, and you can just drop in any Wednesday morning. So there's no need to book, just bring your questions and Dave will provide the answers. So we do hope to see you there. And as always, if you'd like to explore more about Education Buying's energy solutions, feel free to visit our website or contact us directly. And thank you all for joining today, and we look forward to supporting you on your energy journey. And we also have a remainder of our 2 webinars left for this academic year, which are going to be more about the Procurement Act and reviewing commercial strategies, including planning, governance, assurance and resources to enable implementation of the new regime and make senior stakeholders aware. Dave, just before, I just noticed we've got a question in the chat about recovering the CCL element of our energy bills. They are, we have to pay CCL as we are a local authority, maintained primary school, not private or a registered charity. Our energy suppliers can't confirm, and I'm struggling to get a response from HMRC. Any ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to take that one offline to get more information from you, if that's possible. If you could send, we could set up a meeting to discuss that. My inkling is that you do need to be paying the CCR, and in the market, often we get a lot of cold callers that are phoning up because they can do stuff for, and it'll just be a blanket messages that are going across. And my inkling is that it's just a blanket message that somebody's phoning you up by mistake. But there could be something in the information that means that we could claim that back. You could get that back. But if we can take that offline, I'll be able to look at your actual in case studies, and we can check that for you.
Thanks, David. And thank you very much, everybody, for attending this morning, and I hope you found it useful. We have just popped up a how satisfied are you with our webinars information survey as well.